We've got a sign-up sheet up front for anybody that wants to sign up to speak to one of the measures on the agenda today. If you want to speak, sign up. Oh, we've got a quorum.
We're showing up now.
Do what?
Everybody showing up now.
Yep. Well, good morning. It is 8 o'clock. We're going to get started. We've got to be going session at 9, so we've got a hard stop to adhere to. I'm going to ask Representative Mathis if he is open in prayer for us this morning. What number are you, Danny?
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for everyone here. We just ask that the decisions we make keep motorists safe here in Georgia. Thank you for your many blessings. In Christ's name, amen.
Thank you. Is Kimberly, is Representative New here yet? No. Oh, there she is. She's hiding behind the post. I was looking all over. House Bill 1100. I know you've got somewhere you've got to be if you'll present 1100. We heard this bill Tuesday, but if you'll explain the changes that's been made, and the floor is yours.
Appreciate you having the grace to see me early this morning. And thank you, members, for seeing me also. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today about House Bill 1100. The LC number we're working on is 394235S.
That's the one we have.
Okay. So I have with me Austin Gibbs, Director of External Affairs from the Department of Revenue. I also have Robert Worrell with DOR Motor Vehicles Division Director, and Matt Christie, Motor Vehicles Staff Attorney. The changes to HB 1100 from earlier this week are exclusively in Section 1 regarding electronic notices. Electronic notices is limited to letters regarding a lapse in insurance coverage. The department issued over 1 million of these letters last year, 1 million. Line 30 and 31 require the Department of Revenue to provide electronic notice at 30 days, 20 days, and 10 days prior to any suspension due to insurance lapse. The disclaimer in lines 35 through 37 clarify that the notice is only for insurance lapse. Lines 38 through 55 allow the department to utilize e-notice more extensively only for e-title customers. And then e-titling is addressed in Section 6, and there were no changes there. And then it still does the other 5 things that we discussed earlier in the week. But those were the changes that this committee requested, and we wanted to make sure that those were met.
Okay, thank you for working on that. And on line 35, I mean, they sign off where they agree for this type of notification. So the customer, if somebody doesn't agree to it, they still have to mail the notice out. That is,
Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
okay. Do we have any questions on 11? Number 28, Chairman Weedow.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to appreciate the efforts to make sure everybody's good with the language, but at this time, I'm going to make a motion to pass.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a motion and a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. On to your next meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, members.
Yes, sir. All right, the next bill, we had one postponed from the other day, House Bill 1119, 1119, Representative Carson, and I think we've got a sub on that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Honestly, I've been here about 13 years. I think it's my first time, actually only second time in front of motor vehicles. First time was just a study committee. This is House Bill 119. This is in regard to, we have a provision in our state code in regard to vehicle suspension and ability to modify the suspension. And what we've done is we've taken 40.8.6 and condensed it with 40.8.6.1 to make it just about motor vehicles. And we removed an ambiguous standard in regard to manufacturer specifications. I'm joined with Christian Robinson with Specialty Equipment Marketing Association. He and his members, many of them live in Georgia. They employ Georgians and they have businesses here. They requested this change because they don't want to be subject to ambiguity. They want to be more subject to a federal standard in regard to these suspension systems and so forth. So, Chairman, if it's okay, I was going to ask Mr. Robinson to speak on this.
Yes.
If I may, also, there is a one-pager. I think this is, Anna placed this in everyone's packets in regard to background on the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carson. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Representative Carson mentioned, my name is Christian Robinson. I represent the Specialty Equipment Market Association, or SEMA. We're a trade association comprising 7,000 member companies nationwide and 156 right here in Georgia that manufacture a variety of specialty equipment parts for motor vehicles. Anything you would do to your vehicle after it leaves the dealership to make it more fun, exciting, and unique, safer, more efficient, you name it. 95% of our member companies are small businesses, and our footprint here in the state is rather large. In Georgia alone, our members contribute $11.63 billion in economic output, supporting nearly 50,000 jobs and generating $1.39 billion in taxes. As Representative Carson mentioned, the goal of this bill is to clarify Georgia law regarding suspension modifications. The existing law stipulates that motor vehicles cannot be altered either higher or lower beyond 2 inches beyond a manufacturer's recommendation. The problem with that is that a manufacturer's recommendation in almost every case is unavailable to the public. So it creates confusion and ambiguity for both the manufacturer, the installer, and the consumer as to whether or not their vehicle is in legal compliance with the law. So what this bill would do is modify existing code by striking that and relying on an existing frame height requirement that the state already has in place that increases as the vehicle gets heavier. So it starts out at roughly 4,000 pounds, and as the vehicle gets heavier and you get into pickup trucks or heavy-duty vehicles, that allowable height will increase as well. So again, what this bill seeks to do is create clarity and predictability for everybody involved. We think that by doing that, you'll boost innovation and growth within this sector in the economy. And frankly, Georgia has a very vibrant off-road community, and these are the folks that would be substantially impacted. There was a study conducted by the United States Department of Commerce in 2022 that shows that the off-road community and outdoor recreation contributes over $15 billion to Georgia's GDP, and we want to see that continue for everybody. So I thank you for the committee's time. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have, and happy to hand things back over to Mr. Carson.
We do have a question, and could you tell me that LC number again of the sub, Chairman Carson?
So the bill number that I'm looking at is House Bill 1119, LC 394009. There is a sub for Senate Bill 352 to attach our language to Senator Lee Anderson's bill to make it cleaner, because he, as you know, he has a bill, I believe, to be considered later today by this committee in regard to vehicle suspension. I think we spoke on the floor.
Well, yes.
We also spoke with Senator Anderson. Both Christian and I did. It would just be simpler to put it in one. I have no pride of authorship here, to be honest with you.
Okay, and Representative, or Chairman Anderson, I spoke last night, and I think he's wanting to be able to be here Tuesday. So, and I guess he can explain the sub on Tuesday, his part of the measure, but
Okay.
for us if that's agreeable.
And we can put.
And I think all of your language is in the sub that I'm looking at in front of me.
It is, Mr. Chairman, and I just want to say to the committee, I appreciate their indulgence, and I just want to say thank you to Christian and especially equipment manufacturers for Marketing Association for doing this, but I also want to say thank you to Jenna for Legislative Council for working on this at 6 o'clock at night, even though she's not feeling well. So I want the committee to know that.
And I appreciate Mr. Robinson, staying a couple of extra days to stay here to present this today. So sorry we couldn't get to it Tuesday, but we do have a question, number 18, Representative McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess, I do like it. I guess we wanted to make sure it wasn't confusing, but I guess we just took out roadways and streets and public, we scratched all them out because we just making highways universal, or?
So if I may, yes.
Yes.
When Legislative Council refers to in the code public highway, covers all those.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
But it's got to be public highway or just highway?
A highway is any public road open to the public. It's defined, so it's just clean up every time. People have been adding roads over the years, so I try to take it out because it's a defined term. It's any roadway open to the public.
Thank you. I just wanted, because, and when I say confusing, when I heard the word confusing, it's like I liked it better when it roadways, streets, highways, but now all of a sudden, when you say highways, I was.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Very good.
Okay, number 23.
At the proper time, I'll make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, we have,
Go ahead.
We have with us today, we have a Toby Merchant. Toby is the Chief Legal Officer for Fox up in the northeast area of Atlanta in regard to manufacturing these suspension systems. He's happy to speak or answer any questions, but we don't want to delay the committee's time either.
Okay, well, if he wants to come up and say a few words, would love to have him. Thank you.
30 seconds. Thank you, Chairman. Fox Factory Holding Corp. is an industry participant. We manufacture lift kits. We also do aftermarket upfits of trucks and Jeeps. We are a public company listed on NASDAQ Stock Exchange. We're headquartered in Georgia. We have operations in 12 countries, approximately 4,000 employees worldwide. In Georgia, we have 4 locations with over 1,600 employees, a significant amount of which perform upfits. We are an industry participant. We strongly support this bill as it clarifies an ambiguous standard and gives us an objective standard for which we can ensure that our products, many of which that are manufactured in Georgia, are in compliance with the law. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think just for the record, I think Chairman Anderson's part of this bill is lines 37 through 39. Is that correct, Representative Chairman Carson?
37.
Or just limits the maximum height they can lower or raise to.
I believe his section of the bill is lines 48 to 54. I believe. Do I have that correct from my? Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Number 29, Representative Mathis, we do have.
That's me. Representative Carson, does this have any effect whatsoever on the trend that's going around right now with pickups and trucks where they have the front end so high and now back when I was young driving around, we wanted the back up and the front down, but now they want the front up and the back down. And I don't know how they see to drive those things.
They have to hang their head out the window.
I understand, Mr. Chair. Could I answer that?
Yes, please.
I became involved with that because my father, before he passed away of a stroke, he left me his 1966 Mustang, which I'm restoring. And so Christian's been very kind to reach out in regard to this law. What you're referring to, Representative Mathis, is what I have been educated on is the Carolina squat. We don't have many Carolina squats in East Cobb, so I was rather ignorant about it, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But it's basically when the truck back axle is lowered, that is covered under Senator Anderson's portion of his bill. So, yes.
Well, that's good. I just want somebody to address it because you can't even see.
Well, it is, if I may, Mr. Chair, it is, I would say, in regard to Senator Anderson's issue that he's correcting, I must say, I believe it is a public safety issue because, one, you don't know how well somebody can see out the windshield. Two, the headlights are pointing up, not toward the road, toward the highway.
And with that being said, Senator Anderson will be here Tuesday. The Senate bill, I appreciate the ones from the industry, coming and speaking, but I will hold and do the vote on this one Tuesday and let Lee explain his portion of the bill. We're not, subject to crossover day with the Senate bill, so
right.
Appreciate the testimony, and at this time we will, no further questions. We'll move on to our next bill on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you.
I think now the next one we're going to do, Chairman Wiedauer. I think you're presenting one for Chairman Perkle, who had his mom was having surgery today, so he's going to go be with her. So if you would, 1001.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we're looking at LC 39 4232S. We discussed this at length the other day about having the ability to show your driver's license on a phone to an officer if you so choose to. We just merely changed a little bit of language, 27 through 29, just to clarify what kind of device or what kind of image you could show them, that it had to be something that was issued from the department. That's the only change. It's a good bill.
Do we have any questions on the digital driver's license?
Make a motion.
We have a motion to pass. We got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. Bill passes. Now I think we have yes. Chairman Meeks. House Bill 1235.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Bring to you today House Bill 1235. We're working from LC number 39 4236S, substitute from the original bill. The purpose and really what we're doing here is some clarifying language for the more or less the crane industry. We're big 50-plus ton cranes that move up and down the highway. There's been some conversation within some communities across our state as to whether or not those cranes are eligible for tags and titles and paying TVATA taxes. So we're clarifying that special mobile equipment being a self-propelled crane that has all the safety features to move up and down the highway to construction sites for the big telescoping cranes that usually will have a counter weight on the rear pulling it. The cabs are separate from the operation, so it's a separate cab up front that where you drive the crane versus where you operate the crane. So it's really clarifying language. The substitute differing from the original bill is on largely on line 35. Many of you know yesterday we passed a bill, House Bill 912, that deals with special or multi-purpose vehicles. We were just making sure not to undo what we did yesterday with that clarifying language. So, Mr. Chairman, that's the bill, and I'll entertain any questions if there are any.
Yes, and we started working on this back in December when the issue came up to you and I and Chairman Smith down here. We all have crane companies in our districts that was having trouble when they was going to renew their tag, and they were not going to be able to do that. And but this clarifies that, and they can, especially where we're at on next to Florida, one advance next to Alabama, going into another state. And anyway, it just basically puts it in code what a lot of these counties have been doing for a long time.
Right. I appreciate the chairman and Representative Smith's help on this as well. Thank you, sir.
Do we have any questions? We do have one person signed up, Mike Mitchell. What do you want?
that was from the former bill.
I'm sorry. Wrong bill. You're not signed up. Thank you. Now would be the proper time. Motion and a second do pass. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Yeah, all opposed, but I guess since everybody was for it. So get out here for anybody opposes it. All right. All right. Floor Leader McDonald. I mean, we heard this bill Tuesday. I know we didn't have the sub in the packet, but you did explain what you were doing. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got HB 1193, LC 394183. And I appreciate y'all letting me have a hearing the other day to kind of explain the bill and what we're trying to do. Basically, this is brought to you by the Georgia Public Safety, the State Patrol. Over the past 40 years, there's the permitting process to have to be able to use rotating and flashing lights, whether it's fire, police, or amber, is always you had to file for a $2 permit. We're not doing away, this bill is not going to do away from having to still do the red light permit or the blue light permit that's required by law, but this will abolish having to have the amber light permit. Today, back 40 years ago, that they were charging $2 per permit. As time has gone on, cost of mail, cost of doing business has gone up. So it's costing the public safety about $5.25 now to issue this permit, where they're only getting $2 for the permit. So public safety has come to me, and we've put this in this bill that if you can go to line 44, you'll see what Gene was talking about earlier about do some cleanup work. You'll see where now it's just highway. That they're doing cleanup work in all these bills that are coming forth to strike roadway and street. That was just Representative McLean. I just want to make sure that you saw that. But going over to line 77, what we're doing in this bill now is we're establishing what an amber light is required to be used for. So from line 77 all the way to line 122, it says each process of a vehicle coming into the state, whether it's a wrecker, whether it's somebody escorts, that what you have to have this amber light for. In line 124 to 126, now it's establishing what the punishment will be, whether it's a misdemeanor of not having an amber light on a required vehicle, and if an amber light is used in a felony, it will be a felony. You'll be punished by a felony if an amber light is being used in that course of action. So basically, that's the bill, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Okay, I do have one question on line 113, and I think this might affect a bill we'll be voting on, House Bill 907, where we're doing a bill for the funeral procession. They have to have the flashing lights on all the cars in the possession. Is that, I see Representative Franklin in there, so we might need to amend that to include all cars in the funeral procession?
Well,
Flashing hazards, I think, and whoever, Mr. Franklin might be able to clarify that the lead one, I think, also has an amber light.
Okay, so you're not talking about the hazard lights on the car? Okay, so we're okay, okay.
yeah, the lead car, what you've
okay.
got there is
okay.
whether it's revolving or flashing, but most in funeral processions, they use clear, so that was something we worked through to strike that out, so that's, that will not be part of this, and going back to the hazards or the flashing lights, that we go to each vehicle
they're
in a funeral
striking
procession to require them to turn those on.
All right, do we have any questions for the floor leader?
Second.
Motion a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Thank you, committee.
All right, with that being said, Representative Franklin, will you come up? They did recommit 907 back to us. We was in error the other day when we passed the bill as amended, so we already voted on it, but it was not officially sent back to us from rules.
Yes, sir, and I appreciate your patience on this. Not sure what happened with that, but nothing's changed since that last vote. And the line and the references that we were talking about was line 23, but this is Bill 907 LC 394209S.
Yes.
And
All right, and like I said, same bill we passed out Tuesday was just in error. We thought it had been kicked back from.
yes, sir. I'm happy to go over it again if you like.
But does anybody have any questions? Number 28.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is like the 15th time.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't explain it very well the other day.
I just like this committee.
And I feel like I'm saying this again, but I'll make a motion.
Motion a second on House Bill 109. All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Don't come back.
It's only Sweet 16.
All right, and we have our Chairman Walker with us, SB 110. Thank you for being patient with us this morning. And I know we heard this bill last year, and I believe we passed out of here last year. Am I?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for letting me have y'all hearing this bill this morning. So Senate Bill 110, we did pass it out unanimously, I believe, from this committee last year. Just didn't make it across the finish line. Just to give you a little bit of history, this is to support our sheriff deputies, and we started out going down a different path involving their insurance renewals, and with the wisdom of the House, we decided to change it to the vehicle permitting or registration of your vehicles, which is a lot cleaner, a lot easier to administer. But I do have a committee sub, LC 520440S, and the only changes in the sub are on line 42 and line 69, where we move the effective date out to 2025 instead of 2024, and the sunset from 2028 to 2029. But essentially, you all know that we depend on our sheriffs for a lot of things, court service, running our jails, but more and more they're also the primary law enforcement agency in a lot of our counties, and do all kind of law enforcement and keeping our community safe. And by and large, the Georgians want safe communities. We hear that over and over. That's a big concern of Georgians. The sheriffs have a challenge, especially in your smaller counties, especially, but all counties really, with recruiting and retaining sheriff deputies, and part of it is because of their compensation level. They don't get paid enough for what they do. This bill allows the public voluntarily, when they renew their tag, to contribute $5 with a checkoff to the Blue Fund. It'd be collected at the county level, remitted weekly by the county tag office to the state, like they remit the other funds they collect for the tag renewal. And then annually, the Department of Revenue would distribute these funds to the sheriffs, and the sheriffs can use these for bonuses for their sheriff deputies. And hopefully it's going to help retention, recruitment, and also I think it's a good way just for the general public to show their appreciation in a very small way for what the sheriffs do for us.
Thank you. And the change on the tag renewal, was that a request from our late great rules chairman, Chairman Smith? Is that what?
I think so, yes, sir.
Who requested that change, I
Yes,
believe, last year. So appreciate that. And then on line 58, the 1% fee for administrative for DOR, that's the typical.
That's the maximum they can retain.
So 99% will go to the intended purpose. And then I guess one other question that was brought up to me, as far as the accounting purposes, as far as payroll tax, how will that be handled? As far as
well, it would be considered part of their W-2, so the county would have to do Social Security match and all of that,
so.
withhold taxes, and yes, sir.
We do have a couple questions. Number 2, Chairman Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think I may have found my answer to my question, but it was that once the state revenue officer receives the money, how does it go back to the sheriff's office? And I think it's going to the Sheriff Association, and now they decide which sheriff office it goes to, or is it based on where those funds came from, like, i.e. Richmond County?
That's not in the bill I'm looking at, no, sir. It goes equally to each sheriff, and just be divided equally by county, and goes to the sheriff.
It goes to the Sheriff's Association, which
what line number are you?
I'm looking at 55 and 56, line 55 and 56. So the Sheriff Association.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. That looks like you're correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I mean,
and
that
then
answered
they
the
distribute
question.
the money in equal portions to the sheriff of each county.
Roger. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Number 18, Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I was on that same line because, I guess my only question was, there's 1 million folks in Gwinnett County, and I didn't know if it was based on shouldn't say population, but what your county took in, because it would be based in the county.
Yes, they're divided equally by the county, and I have some very populous counties in my district and some not populous at all, and really the ones that are the least populated have the least amount of resources and the most trouble hiring and retaining deputies, it seems. So I hope this will help our underfunded counties disproportionately, frankly, than the large counties that have a lot more resources. This is something we really don't have any way to predict it might raise, $100,000, it might raise $1 million. I have no earthly idea, because it's strictly a voluntary thing. We do have a sunset on it, and I hope, you know, that after 4 years of seeing how it's working, we might, if it's in the case where the larger counties are just knocking it out of the ballpark as far as donations, there'd be an opportunity to adjust it at that time, if
Thank
we
you.
wanted to even continue it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we do have someone signed up to speak to this measure. We are honored to have Terry Norris with us this morning. I'm gonna ask him to come up and.
Good morning. Nice early. Augusta's my home. I'll be there tonight. So, of course, the sheriffs support this. It is unquestionable that sheriffs have a different position with their governing authority than do city police departments. I'm hired help. Y'all are elected officials. I have to do what my boards, I have 4, tell me to do. City and county police chiefs are like me. They're hired help. Their relationship with their cities and counties is quite different than sheriffs have with their county governing authorities. Not being employees of the county government, yet being office holders, it is true the county governing authorities fund the office of sheriff, but that's it. They don't control the office of sheriffs. Like I say, unlike the relationship between cities and their mayors, police departments and their mayors, and county police and theirs. So this is a move toward allowing the sheriff more discretion on getting a little extra for deputies and jailers. And frankly, y'all, our guys, for the most part, are the lowest paid in the state. In fact, our jailers probably are in most counties. So we don't know what the impact of this might be down the road. And at the sunset, we all may decide there's not enough there to even continue. We hope not. We feel like Georgians support law enforcement, and you all are restricted in the General Assembly from really helping to pay the salary, to get the salaries up for local officers, not just sheriff's deputies, but also police officers. Y'all have tried over the past when y'all have appropriately raised salaries for state officers. That divide has grown between local officers and state officers. And y'all's hands have been somewhat tied on how to help local officers. This is one way to do it. So we hope you'll consider this a good proposition and pass it along. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Well, we have one other person signed up to speak, Gabe Carter with ACCG. Don't see any questions for Mr. Norris. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Just want to first start by thanking the author. We've had several conversations on this bill last year, and apologize for not being able to follow up with you this year. But just wanted to briefly say, one, we 100% are in favor of these funds being given to bonuses for our sheriffs and deputies. They work hard to protect our counties. We're 100% in favor of that, 100% in favor of these funds being at the sole discretion of the sheriffs. Completely in favor of that. I think one thing we wanted to clarify with this bill, if it's in favor of the author and the committee, is just regarding income taxes and how they would be applied to this bill. Right now, we're not sure that those taxes are being accounted for, because if they go straight to the sheriff, the county may not even be aware that these funds exist or how much, or how to even withhold these funds for Social Security purposes and things of that nature. So we would just want to see that clarified. It's not a control thing, doesn't need to necessarily be in the county's hands. We would just at least like to be some process to be aware of that, even if it goes directly to the sheriff, and there's a process to make sure that it's, the county is aware of it. So if that's something that's favorable to the committee and the author, we would love to be able to work on that.
I had a
I'm
question.
sorry, number 2, Chairman Prince.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does it not read that it goes to the association, and then the sheriff association distributes it down to the sheriff offices for bonuses? Should the county not be able to track bonuses, is my question.
Our position is, yes, the county should be involved at some point in this process, just for the purposes of being able to calculate payroll taxes. However this committee sees fit, we would just like the county to at least be able to account for those funds at some step in the process. So thank you for your question.
Seeing no further questions, Chairman Walker.
I'd like to respond to that. So the way I visualize this happening is the sheriffs are not running payroll in the counties. I really don't visualize sheriffs collecting this money and then writing a check out of the sheriff's office per se for the bonus. If they were to do that, however, and it exceeded $600 a year, then they would be required to send a 1099 to the deputy receiving the money. I think all the sheriffs are going to see the value of running this through the county payroll, just like the salaries of the jailers and deputies, because if they do send them a 1099, then the deputy's going to have to pay he's going to have to pay all the FICA, and not get the 7.65 match from the county. So it's going to behoove the sheriffs to run it through the payroll. It'd be better for the deputy that way, and less hassle for the sheriff. I just really don't see this as an issue. But again, if they do decide to have a separate fund and write them a check, if it exceeds $600, they're going to have to send them a 1099.
I think I'm going to ask. I don't see any further questions for Mr. Carter. I'm going to ask Terry Norris if he'll come back.
Just one point of clarity, and Gabe didn't mean to say this, but it is explicit in this bill that any collected money through the Sheriff's Association to the sheriff cannot be used for salaries for the sheriff. It's only for the deputies and jailers. I just want to make that point. Thank you.
Number 16, Representative Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to go back to what the gentleman said from the Department of Revenue. A lot of times the sheriff department in the county are not talking. So I do want to know, based on what he said, how will that accountability be from the Sheriff Association and the sheriff department in that county with the counties when we talk about the money?
I think,
and making sure those taxes are there.
So our intent, and it's not specifically addressed in the bill, but our intent at the association, and mind you, we're not asking and won't ask for any sort of administrative cost for our association to do this. We will distribute it equally. We will establish a policy through our board on how the sheriff should respond to this. And our recommendation to the sheriff is going to be, you get the check from DOR, and you remit that or send that to the county governing authority, and we ask them, and Gabe and I have spoken about this, we would like to see the county governing authority set up a separate account, and whatever happens after that in terms of the discretion of the sheriff on how the money is to be divvied up among the employees, then they let the county know that, and those particular employees have any appropriate taxes come at that time. But you're absolutely correct. There has to be an accounting for it. We don't recommend to the sheriffs to collect any money at any time that the law doesn't specifically tell them to collect and hold. We want y'all to tell them where they can hold that money and how they can spend it. So I hope that answers. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any further questions for any of the speakers? We have a motion do pass and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign.
Thank you. Thank you, Committee and Chairman.
Living the dream. We've got one further measure. If y'all got just a moment. Everybody's trying to leave us, Chairman Burns. You better hurry.
That's exactly right. One senator a day is all you can take. I want to thank the chairman for the opportunity. I also want to acknowledge his ability to be very efficient in his committee. I'd like to learn from him. This morning, members of the committee, we have Senate Bill 369. I'm working from LC 39 4123S. This is the semi-quincentennial tag bill. Now, I had to learn how to say it, and I've still not learned how to spell it, but it's the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. And I know you get a lot of tags. This is a tag that's only going to happen once every 250 years, so I promise you won't have to do it again.
Well.
And I would also say that this is not a vanity plate. There's no additional cost associated with this tag. This will become the primary plate of Georgia between 2026 and 2030. Just for history, the Revolutionary War began on April 19th, 1775, and concluded on September 3rd of 1783 with the Treaty of Paris. There are currently two primary tags available in Georgia: the peach tag, which we all love, and then a tag referred to as the peach patch, or the peach in trees. This would be the third primary tag, although it would be the default tag during this period between 2026 and 2030. This was brought to me by a constituent who's a member of the Sons of the American Revolution. I've worked with them. I've worked with the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Georgia Historical Society, the Communications on Civics Education, the Georgia Council for the Arts, and the Center for Civic Engagement. Bottom line, we have actually did this in 1983 with the semi-quincentennial of the state of Georgia, and now we're doing it just during the semi-quincentennial of the U.S. It has an education component. It's a civics education lesson. We're working with the Department of Education. They're on board. Department of Revenue is on board. Middle school students will design the logo. We'll have a competition in the fall. They'll design the logo. We will select the logo. We'll have a panel, not a legislative panel, but a professional panel headed up by the Department of Education to select the winner. And then the tag itself will be available in 2026 for a 5-year period, and then would revert to the standard peach tag. Appreciate the opportunity to share the bill, and I look forward to your questions.
Tell us the cost. Now, this is not a revenue sharing tag. This will be a specialty tag, not a revenue sharing. Cost of if someone wanted
It's
this
the
tag.
same cost that a standard peach tag would require, so that if you go in during that period, 2026 to 2030, and request a new tag or move to Georgia, unless you designate you want the peach or the peach patch, this would be the tag at the standard tag fee. There's no additional revenue. It does not go to any organization, so it is not what we would normally refer to as a vanity plate. It is a standard Georgia tag. And I really appreciate the Department of Revenue and the Department of Education as we work through this bill.
And far as the implementation time, I think I've had the discussion with DOR. They're good with the time frame that you've got to implement.
We're laying out a time frame where legislation during this session in the fall, the Department of Education would conduct the exercise for our middle grade students, and then make that decision late in 24. We would probably have an award announcement type program in early 25, and then the tag would be implemented in late 25, available January 26. And I'd like to ask all of you to get one of these tags, okay? Because I will.
You'll have to ask not to get it.
I'm sorry?
You'll have to ask not to get it.
That's exactly right. You have to ask not to get it. That's exactly right. Very true.
Do we have any questions for the author? Not seeing any question? Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
All opposed?
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned. We got to get across the street. We got 14 minutes.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
As I said, before you go.